Welcome back to Explain America. This is your host, Kyle Becker. Billionaire radical philanthropist George Soros has been served notice. The White House has issued a bombshell announcement that is going to radically alter the ability of George Soros and his foundations to operate with impunity in the United States. But before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment at Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. George Soros has been active in essentially fomenting color revolutions across the globe for decades. His Open Society foundations have given tens of millions of dollars to radical left-wing causes. There are also other Soros foundations, and he has distributed money willy-nilly to every radical cause you can imagine, including installing Soros prosecutors to be soft on violent criminals and to allow those repeat offenders to go out and wreak havoc, as we saw with Irina Zarutska in the Charlotte area just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And that was one of the most disturbing incidents we've ever seen. And if you dig into the details like we did, you can see Soros' fingerprints all over it, particularly through the MacArthur Foundation in that case. And essentially, George Soros, he has been responsible for some of the upshoot of crime we've seen in the United States because he's backed those radical prosecutors who have gone to cashless bail and have been soft on crime. And some of those repeat offenders have, yes, targeted American citizens. Well, Donald Trump, he has issued a shot across the bow, and that is declaring Antifa, of course, a radical extremist organization, a terrorist organization now. And this is a problem for Soros because he has been linked explicitly to funding 54 groups that are engaged in crime and domestic terror on U.S. soil, or that are pro-terrorism, or associated with foreign terrorist organizations, or explicitly pro-terror groups. And so, according to this report, over $23 million went to at least 7 groups that are doing things that meet the FBI's definition of domestic terrorism. So let's get to this report.
According to George Soros' own files from his Open Society foundations, so myself, my colleagues at Capital Research Center, basically went through as many grants of his, as many funding streams as we could find, and here's the smoking guns that we believe that President Trump, if he's informed of it, can use to go after Soros' network of hate in various ways. We traced over $80 million going from the Open Society foundations to at least 54 groups engaged in crime and domestic terrorism on U.S. soil, or that are pro-terrorism, endorsing things like the October 7th attacks, or are associated with foreign terrorist organizations or explicitly pro-terror groups. And this is according to his own file, so it's rock solid. And over all of that amount, over 23 million went to at least 7 groups that are doing things that meet the FBI's definition of domestic terrorism, including rioting and things like that.
Can you be specific, more specific than this?
Absolutely. I'm happy to. So the Center for Third World Organizing, for example, is an organization that has a hub that fused together several really extreme organizations. We found $400,000 going to them, and they openly boast of the fact that they threw down during the uprisings in Minnesota, obviously referring to the rioting, and boasting of how many thousands of people they helped train. A lot of these groups have created what they'll call like a protest guide or an activism toolkit, and it sounds innocuous. Then you open it up and you'll see support for Hamas in it, but then they'll sometimes slyly say, for more information, go to these hyperlinks. And you go to the hyperlinks, and there'll be guides recommending things like property destruction, violence, false IDs, how to obstruct justice, all of these things, and they know darn well what they're doing. They don't put that there by accident. Some of the more careful ones will just direct their readership to anarchist websites with all that material, knowing that they'll see it when it's there. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really stunning. And some of these groups are coalitions. So when I say 54 groups, just one of those might have 300 entities in that one. So it's actually, the real number is actually much higher.
So, Soros, aiding and abetting violent revolution in this country through funding of violent extremist groups is not going to be tolerated for much longer in this country. It certainly looks like, from the Department of Justice and the Trump administration's recent actions. It looks like they are going to take action in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination. They are not going to let radicals go on murderous rampages without holding everyone accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And so, Soros, if you're funding these violent extremist organizations, it probably would be a prudent move to stop now, because there are RICO statutes, there are racketeering laws, there are criminal conspiracy laws. And I believe that the Trump administration is putting the wheels in motion to bring such a case if the funding of these violent radical groups doesn't get cut off immediately. So weigh in with your thoughts below. What should happen to George Soros's foundations? Should he be investigated for racketeering or criminal conspiracy charges? You saw the report, and there's a basis for believing that there could be some culpability in this case. So let's see what happens with it. And we always welcome your feedback at Explain America.